Everyone goes through something, whether it's something small like losing some money or something bigger like breaking a bone. Everyone has gone through tough times, but have you ever been through something greater, possibly even life-changing? In today's video, we'll dive into the depths of PTSD, exploring its origins, causes, and what you need to treat it. But you might ask yourself, what is one of the main causes of PTSD? Well, it's war. Today, specifically, we'll focus on World War II. Everybody's heard of it, unless you lived under a rock, or you were 10 years old. It involved Nazi Germany and their powerful and terrifying dictator, Adolf Hitler, trying to achieve world domination. In this process, Hitler and the Nazis had strong hatred towards the Jews, going so far that he started the mass genocide killing off millions of Jews. Maus, a memoir by Art Spiegelman, focuses on the story of Art Spiegelman's father, a Jewish man named Vladek. Vladek Spiegelman, a Jew living in Nazi Germany at the time, has to go through a lot in his journey, which involves losing loved ones, trying to survive, and the present day when Vladek isn't telling stories about his past. We learn that he is a pretty broken and traumatized man. PTSD is a condition where traumatizing events can severely affect one's mental health. According to mental health effects of war, backed up by science, PTSD can cause homelessness, depression, and even suicide. In this article, it explains that the effects are often long-term. Dr. Sugden says, the long-term effects of trauma on soldiers are significant. We have seen increases in homelessness among the U.S. veteran population, and this group has the highest rate of suicide compared to any other population, says Sugden. This applies to our story, Maus. In Maus, we learn that Vladek lost his wife, Anja, due to suicide. During the war, Vladek and Anja have a child named Richu, and in an attempt to save him from violence and the Nazis, they send him to live with Anja's sister, Tosha. Later, Richu is at risk of being captured by the Nazis. In order to save Richu and prevent this from happening, Tosha poisons Richu and herself, which inevitably ends up killing them. Vladek and Anja do not know of this until a while later, which when they find out, breaks them. Anja breaks down and even pleads to be taken away to die. The events of the Holocaust and her son's death ultimately lead to Anja suffering from depression and, in the end, taking her own life. This haunts Vladek for the rest of his life. This is just one example of PTSD occurring in the memoir. For this memoir includes so many traumatic instances, you feel really bad for the main character. Another traumatic event in this story is when Vladek witnesses his comrades being punished and killed. In an attempt to portray a message and warning, the Nazis hang 3 men. Vladek recognizes these men for he has done business with them. Vladek feels immense guilt for he thinks he was responsible for their deaths, even leaving Vladek to not leave his house for a few days due to fear. Moving on to our next source, War Trauma, the Psychological Consequences of War, it states, according to the National Center for PTSD, about 7% of veterans will experience PTSD at some point in their life, compared to 6% of civilians. Although Vladek was technically a war veteran going to war against the Germans, the rest of his family were only civilians living through this warfare. As explained before, Anja's wife died with depression before killing herself, and Vladek being affected by trauma, depression, and PTSD. This further proves the fact that war veterans and civilians will eventually deal with PTSD at some point in their life. Of course, in context, they have lived through times of war, but you may ask yourself, what does this even show? Through analysis of text and understanding war's effect on one's mental health, Maus becomes a great example of traumatizing effects that took place on the survivors of the Holocaust and war in general. Survivors often suffer from depression, trauma, and PTSD, affecting their everyday lives and in some cases changing their entire lives. So, what should be done? You might say that the government does not really do much to take care of veterans and those who have experienced such things. That's true. While you can argue that veterans with PTSD receive benefits from the government such as cash, healthcare, and more, the argument is not very valid. We still see homeless veterans almost every single day. While the notion that most homeless people are simply addicts can sometimes be valid, people need to have an open mind and realize that some of these people are just people who couldn't access the care they needed after the war. They're simply not in the right mind to provide for themselves. If this is not enough, statistics show that about 31% of homeless are war veterans. This is California alone. Research taken in 2022 showed that in America, only 10% of population were veterans. On top of this, 13% of the adult population experiencing homelessness are war veterans. Pretty uneven, right? Let's move on to another effect of PTSD, and you're free to skip ahead if you like because it's pretty heavy. Suicide is another outcome of war that affects a lot of individuals. While it is a hard topic to speak on, it is undeniably one of the hard outcomes that war has on mental health. In 2022, the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs reported that the suicide rate per day grew from 16.4 a day in 2001 to 16.8 in 2020. 2018 saw the highest numbers reaching up to 18.6 per day. The saying 22 a day is a call to action trying to spread awareness that approximately 22 veterans commit suicide a day, showing that they are very vulnerable. Keep in mind that these numbers are solely based in the United States. War occurs in every corner of the globe. One can only imagine what horrors people will have to go through every single day. So, what is the purpose of all this? We simply made this video to inform viewers what goes on almost every single day, and In the Memoir Mouse happens to be a great example of this. It was also made to encourage others to help this situation with whatever they can do. While everyone might not be a professional mental health specialist, people should take care of their loved ones who experience these issues and have gone through traumatic experiences. Simply checking in with your loved one can leave us an immense positive impact. When having a loved one who has been through a lot in life, you may never know what's going on in their mind. It's shown in the numbers, the news, and the people's personal stories. With this video, we hope to leave a mark on this problem. People who have gone through war do not deserve to be struggling alone.